Folks, I'm here on vacation in the beautiful, lovely Denton, Texas. I don't know if you can see behind me. There's a beautiful ocean. That's right, the ocean of Texas directly behind me. I asked you guys on Twitter, what are some of your NBA hot takes as we are entering the dog days of summer? Because look, I'm just going to be honest with you. I've run out of ideas for videos, so I need you guys to make the ideas for me. And I got quite a lot of responses. So I think over the course of the next week, we just might look at some of these and talk about them, because there's some very interesting things here and some things that I really want to talk about. And for today's video, we're going to talk and start off with the Orlando Magic, because my God, like, it feels like half of the tweets that I got were about the Orlando Magic for some reason. And I want to talk about the Magic because it feels like people are very mixed on them. We have this tweet from my guy Rich, aka Mavs Draft. Congrats on the no ceilings thing. I'm very excited to see where that goes. The Magic could be the next game-changing blueprint for the league, for teams to win without being overly reliant on shooting by having massive, switchable lineups that play high-level defense and win through defense and free throws. And then conversely, I got tweets like this one from May Truther that said the Magic will have to severely shake up their core in order to have a chance at the chip. And I have to say, I definitely disagree with that one, because I don't know what that implies. I don't know if that implies trading Franz Wagner or Paolo or whatever the case may be. I think I actually lean more towards Rich, and I've been thinking about this more in preparation for this video. I think the Magic are very close, actually, to contending at the highest level imaginable. And obviously, their defense is a big reason for that. They took a huge, massive step forward last season. They were better than I think most people could have anticipated. But what really makes me think that they're going to be very good sooner rather than later is Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner, what they can do offensively. But beyond that, how good they are as playmakers, both of them. For Paolo, his playmaking feels like it could actually take a real legitimate superstar leap. He was the second best sophomore by Basketball Index's playmaking grade this past season. And just his quality of assists and the film, whenever you watch him, shows that he could become that next big, rangy wing playmaker that we saw like Jason Tatum turn into in the postseason. Look, I know I shit all over Jason Tatum, and I know it's fun to make fun of him and laugh at him. Trust me. I'm actually in Boston right now, so I get double points for doing so. But Tatum's playmaking in the playoffs was a big reason why the Boston Celtics were as dominant as they were and why they ended up winning the NBA championship. And I think Paolo could reach that. I also think he's going to become more efficient as a scorer as his career progresses. That's just natural progression you see for these guys. And then you have Franz Wagner. I mean, he shot 28% from three last year. It was 18% after the All-Star break. There's no way he's going to be that bad from three again. He was 35% his rookie year, 36% year two, 31% as a freshman in college, 34% as a sophomore in college. There's just not a lot of numbers that indicate he's that bad of a shooter. I mean, something went terribly wrong, but I can't imagine it goes that terribly wrong again. And if he's just around league average as a shooter, he does so many other things. I mean, he is a ferocious finisher. He's one of the best finishers in the NBA. 12 drives per game, 65% of his shots at the rim are unassisted, 67% field goal percentage at the rim. He has a floater game. He's strong. He uses his length. He uses his strength. Just an incredible finisher. On top of being a legitimately great defender. And you combine what those two can do with Suggs defensively, who's going to be an all-defensive player for the next 10 years, potentially. KCP, what he can do defensively. Their center rotation, what they can do. Jonathan Isaac, obviously, when he's healthy. And then, like, young guys like Anthony Black, yeah, they're going to be very good. So I think I'm leaning more towards Rich than I am the Orlando Magic are going to have to shake things up to be good. I disagree with that. This one right here. Not sure if this is a hot take, but Luka will retire at 33 from Xanadu. This is something I hear all the time, and it really comes from, like, European people who watch Luka a lot. I don't think Xandu's European, but you get the point. I disagree with this, because think about the contract that these guys are playing right now, and unless you think Luka is going to fall off of a cliff at 33 years old and just be bouncing around the league, getting league minimums, 8 years from now, Luka will probably be earning close to, if not over, $100 million per year on his contract. That's just the direction of NBA contracts. If you think somebody's just going to leave that on the table, I think you're absolutely insane. I disagree with this. Jersey Mike's is better than Subway, and it's not close, says Jack. This is not a hot take. Anyone who disagrees with this should be locked up in a mental institution immediately, as soon as possible. Abolish the charge. Pretending to fall isn't tough. Putting your body on the line, etc., is lame as hell. I will not budge, says a man has no name. I used to kind of be on this board that charges were lame and that they should be taken out of the game. And I do think there's a case to be made that the play where a help defender slides over as a player's midair is dangerous, and they maybe should look at that. But it's already so hard to play defense in the NBA. I think getting rid of charges just makes it even more difficult. And it's not like it's a huge part of the game. I mean, Brandon Podziemski led the league in charges drawn per game last year with 0.5. per game. The Warriors barely averaged over one charge drawn per game, and they were the highest total in the NBA last year. So it's not something you see, every other possession. And there's a skill to it. There really is. Like being smart, knowing where to put your body, knowing where to position yourself to draw charges. It's a tactic. So I think that they should keep it, and I don't think they should get rid of it. This one I thought was funny just because the wording of it. Sir Mike says, not really a hot take, but Amen and Ausar Thompson, of course, will be first ballot Hall of Famers. Not really a hot take. Brother, that is scorching. That is scorching hot. There have been 54 first ballot Hall of Famers in NBA history, just for a frame of reference. So that means that Ausar and Amen Thompson would have to be top 60 players of all time pretty much when it's all said and done. The last guy to do it was Vince Carter, and that was even kind of questionable that he was a first ballot Hall of Famer. And Vince Carter, for a stretch of time, was one of the best offensive players on the planet. And look, I love Amen and Ausar Thompson. I thought defensively what they did last year was insane. Ausar, 2.5 defensive EPM. That was 16th in the entire NBA and second amongst rookies behind, of course, Victor Wembanyama. His brother Amen Thompson, 2.3 defensive EPM. That was 22nd in the NBA. Fourth amongst rookies, obviously behind his brother Ausar, Victor Wembanyama. And I'll give you some time to guess who the third guy was. Go ahead. Think about it. Toumani Camara. How about that? He had a really nice season. Obviously, they're both absurd athletes, and that's why they're so great defensively, and they're great defensive playmakers. Here's the problem, though. Ausar Thompson, 18% from three on 1.8 attempts per game. Amen Thompson, 13% from three on nearly one attempt. I look back, and only 17 rookies in NBA history have played 30 or more games, attempted 1 3 per game, and shot below 20% from three. And Larry Hughes and Spencer Dinwiddie are probably the two best players on that list. So it is incredibly unlikely that these two become Hall of Famers, let alone first ballot Hall of Famers. In fact, it's more likely that they're just, good to solid, average rotational pieces than they are All-Stars and Hall of Famers. I would definitely say it's likelier they never even sniff an All-Star game than it is they become Hall of Famers. So I think I would disagree with this one, although I do love the Thompson twins. We'll wrap up with this one. I saw this one quite a bit. Kobe. Anytime you do an unpopular opinion thing or a hot take thing, Kobe is always at the forefront. I'm not sure Kobe has a top 20 peak in NBA history, says Muhammad. As much as I personally like Kobe, I think he's the most overrated player in NBA history. He's closer to top 15 than he is top 5, says the Colin Dunks. Dwayne Wade, boo, boo, has a higher peak than Kobe, and if it wasn't for injuries, he would be viewed as better than Kobe by most people, says Daniel. The persona and the aura, if you will, as Kobe Bryant definitely puts him at a level that is probably a little bit ahead of his actual performance on the court. Not to say he wasn't an all-time great. He, of course, is an all-time great. But is he a top 5 player of all time? Probably not, no. And if you're just going peak just based off of how good a player was when they were at their absolute best, there's arguments for a guy like Bill Walton even to have a higher peak and peak higher as a player than a guy like Kobe Bryant. But at the same time, 2005, 2006, Kobe averaged 35 points per game while also making first team all defense. And the league average in points per game that year was 97. The average offensive rating was 106. Just for a frame of reference, today it's 115. So if you just scoreflation, Kobe averaged like 42 points per game in what would be today's terms. And people often point to his efficiency numbers. He shot 56% true shooting that season. The league average today is 58. So people view it as being inefficient, but the league average that year was 53%. So he scored at the level he did while being more efficient than the league average. You could definitely make an argument that Kobe at no point in his career was the best player in the NBA, and I think I'd probably actually agree with that. I don't know. I mean, Kobe's one of the greatest to ever do it. Rest in peace, obviously. Yes, the Black Mamba persona and everything that came with it definitely inflates his perception across the league. I think that that's true. Mavs wins help the Republican Party because the new owners are conservative donors. What the fuck are you yapping about?